This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Peninsula Regional Medical Center.
All you have to do is turn on the radio and you'll hear some of today's most popular artists singing about Molly. So you think it's somebody, or maybe you think it's a hobby. Maybe you think Molly is a sport. Think again. Molly is a drug, and it's a very dangerous drug that has proven to be deadly. Unfortunately, it's gaining in popularity not only in songs, but on our streets. And joining us today to tell us more about what we can do to keep our kids safe is Dr. Brian Delegati, who is Assistant Medical Director of the Emergency Department at PRMC. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
This whole Molly thing, I've heard it referred to for a long time, and I never really realized. What is Molly?
Sure. So Molly is essentially the new name for a drug which has gained a lot of popularity recently in the media.
Yeah.
It's essentially a crystalline or powder form of a drug called methylene dioxymethylamphetamine, or MDMA. The more commonly known name of this drug is in the form of a pill called ecstasy. And Molly simply is the recreation or remarketing of this same drug in a crystalline or powder form. The name Molly actually is derived somewhat intentionally, I think, and creatively, in that it was chosen as sort of a safe and friendly sounding name
Right.
for a drug which had fallen out of favor, frankly, in the form of ecstasy due to its commonly laced status, essentially, where other substances are being mixed into the drug.
So Molly is being marketed as more pure, is that right?
That's exactly right. The idea, and again, back to the name Molly, is actually shortened from the word molecule, intended to essentially suggest that the drug is in a more pure and potentially even a more potent form.
So what you're saying is this isn't something new. This is a drug that's got an extensive history.
In fact, it does. It goes as far back as 1914, in fact, when it was first created. It's a man-made substance. It doesn't occur naturally. This drug became much more in a widespread use, so to speak,
Yeah.
in actually behavioral psychotherapists who used it in patients to help them open up. One of the more common effects of this medication is that, or drug rather, is that it enhances social interaction, it lowers inhibitions, and so in that arena anyway, it allowed patients to open up and share their feelings. Subsequent to that, in the 80s and 90s, it became a drug of abuse in the form of ecstasy, which is a pill, and now subsequently is Molly in this new crystalline form.
So are you seeing a lot of use of Molly here on Delmarva?
You know, it's difficult to say. I think it'd be foolish to think that we're not seeing it. It's certainly so ubiquitous nationwide that I'm sure it's in our area as well. But it's difficult to say simply because the drug can look like so many other drugs as well. Like cocaine and other amphetamines, that it's oftentimes evaded by drug screening tests and so forth. So it's difficult to test for.
So what you're telling me is it will give somebody a high, but it's a very dangerous high.
It can be a very dangerous high. It certainly has a sense of euphoria, but in some patients they can have deleterious effects as well.
So what kind of effects are we talking about?
So some of the bad effects that we can see are anxiety and agitation, teeth clenching, muscle tremors, and in some cases, rarely, fortunately, even death as a result of the rapid rise in body temperature that this drug can occur, which can result in heart, liver, or kidney failure, which ultimately could be a fatal outcome.
So there have already been deaths related to it?
In fact, there have. Two most recently this summer in New York City. It's become quite a popular drug in electronic music festivals and things, and 2 college students died just this past summer.
Is this one of those drugs that once you're hooked, it's really hard to kick?
It is. It does have an impressive addiction potential in that the way in which the drug works is that it enhances the release of a neurotransmitter in your brain called serotonin. This release creates the sense of euphoria, but when the drug's out of your system, that disappears, and so you're left in essentially a depressed state, and so for that reason you crave the drug that much more.
Ah, okay, so you've already said it would be foolish to think that it's not here, so it probably is here. Is there anything you can tell us as far as parents, grandparents, is there something we can look for in our kids to maybe give us an idea that this may be an issue?
Sure. You know, if your child or grandchild is on this medication or drug, you may see the signs of the euphoria, the enhanced social interaction, these kinds of things. But you may also detect, if they're off of this drug, a change in their pattern of behavior,
Right.
the social arena in which they're interacting. They may act depressed in some instances as well. So a sudden change in behavior should be a tip that your child could be using Molly or another drug perhaps as well.
That could be a big one right there.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could boil this down to one message that you would give parents or grandparents, what would you say?
You know, I think the most important thing is to simply maintain an open line of communication with your child. Ask them what they're doing at school, and in keeping that open line of communication, you can learn about what they're learning about and then educate them.
Dr. Brian Delegado with PRMC, thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Valuable information for you this afternoon. If you'd like to write or read more about PRMC or learn more about the drug Molly, all you have to do is go to delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab. Someone who knows all about addiction is Michael the Situation Sorrentino from Jersey Shore. He joins us next to tell us about his battle with prescription painkillers. But first, it's time to check in with Brian for our first clue in the Where is Brian guessing game. All right, Brian, let's have it.
Well, Jimmy, both of my clues today have to deal with the town's name. So here is clue number 1. The town was originally called Stevenson's Crossroad. One more clue to go, and then I'll reveal where I am coming up later in the show.